refresh what we did last time. We started regression, and we said the statistician usually use those methods of statistics to try to find out if you have all those dots. You take a sample and you get those kind of dots, and you say, can I draw a line, a straight line around those dots, so that line will be as close as possible to those dots. And statisticians have developed the methodology. Usually you study it in undergraduate, usually in the last year. If you study finance, or you study economics, business, or statistics, usually it's a little more advanced topic that usually you end up learning. Then you learn all this method to how to estimate it. Now, as the AI becomes to be as a popular method now of doing a lot of things, people have used a neural network. Now, this is really the simplest neural network you can really think about, because if you notice, to make a straight line here, let me draw one. I'll just click one, so it will train it. Will be very close. So it will find this line. This line is quite close to the real one. You can tell that the B that is discovered 0.71, it's very minus 0.71. It's very close to the real one. And the coefficient 280.79, very close to the real one, which is 280, okay? So this is quite close to those ones. So now, to make a straight line, there's only two parameters. It's the A, it's where the line is starting, and the slope. There's only two parameters we're trying to estimate, and then you can draw the line, okay? And usually people learn how to do it in statistics, and anybody that have studied regressions, this is the first one you usually start. And from neural network, it really is like you try to estimate one round here. This is like the weight. For one input, you have only the X. This is the X, this is the Y. So you're entering the X here, and you're getting the Y as the output, okay? And then using it, you're trying to estimate this parameter and also the fixed one. So here, when you see this is like the fixed one plus the slope, okay, that's what the neural network does. What we'll do today, we'll talk about a more serious regression when you have several parameters to estimate. If I do this one, just for the fun of it, and we'll see what we go do in the next time, you can't really paint it. Ignore this one for a second. This one you have, like I want to estimate for a country, what the relationship between their GDP, you know, how much income of the country, to various things of the country. Is the country that exporting a lot will have more revenue, will have more GDP? If I have more education in the country, will I have more GDP? What about natural resources? Do I have more natural resources will get me more income? If I'm looking at the country, what about high education, high tech investment? So here we have several parameters. We have education in high tech, in natural resources, education, export of the country. All those parameters, they are good candidates to tell me if a country will do better or worse, okay? So you can look at those ones. This is a more, you can look at it as multi-variable regression, meaning many parameters affecting one variable called GDP. You will see if you take statistic classes, if I had two parameters to estimate, it would be very complex. And you spend a whole year in statistics to learning. In neural network, as we will see, you can put many variables on the both sides of the equation, okay? I'm not going to teach statistics here, but just to get the idea, here we have a straight line, meaning we have an X, we're trying to find a Y. If we have all those dots, we know for, let's say, this small dot, let me make it bigger so I can see it. Just a second, I really apologize. I have to take this one. It's for my son. Just 1 second. חנוך לימודיק, אתה בדרך? Sorry about it. That was very important. I apologize. I don't know if I told you, my son has a very high profile in the Israeli army, and he just called. I had to take it, so I apologize. So let's look at this picture. This is a very good, get this concept. It will help you a hell of a lot of time in the future. You have those dots. What dots mean? It's at this lower one. For this X, okay, you get a small y, okay? So a dot is represented by two numbers, the X and the Y. So making a picture like that, you have every dot is every dot has two numbers, the X and the Y. And now we try to take those dots and draw a line as close as possible. So the Y's will be as close as possible. In fact, the truth of the matter, the X and the Y will be as close. I won't get into this topic. That's in statistics, you might learn it. Okay. So this will be as close as possible to the line. Now, that's what the AI is doing with the neural network. And is estimating the slope to be 0.85, and the slope points, sorry, this is a different one. I apologize. Let me take, this is a different one. Let me take this one for a sec, because that's one I used for the other. Here we go. Here we're getting 280. That's the estimate. So the algorithm can continue training and finding it, okay? Now, think about it. I mentioned it last time. The simulation uses really a very advanced mathematics. Again, I will try to avoid the hard mathematics. Uses something called gradient. Gradient is how much is the function changes as you change the parameters. And based on that gradient, is searching for better parameters until he finds it. Now, by the way, this chart on the right side, it's as I push the data and try to learn more and more, it's really a measure. You can tell the Y in this graph is as close as this measure of how far are those points from that straight line. If the difference is very small, then I know that I'm probably getting close to the real parameters. Now we're going to do the same things. Now you cannot really make this. By the way, multivariance regression is also a linear. Okay, it's an equation. It's a linear equation, but you cannot really print it because I have 4 parameters. I have high tech, I have natural resources, I have education, I have export, and I'm trying to learn. I really don't even know what the real one. I'm trying to learn the relationship. Now, based on similar concept, as we have this line on the right side, measuring how close is the dots to the straight line, we do similar things. How close is what I predict with the model, something we haven't done here. We will learn a concept of calling predictions. And in fact, I can give it to you as an exercise, or maybe even do it with you. I will add another chart to show how really close this one get as I train it with more epochs. I kind of jumped on it. I might include it in the future. But this chart, I want to show another concept. We can, sorry, I will take it back. This one on the left, it's very similar to the one on the right here, showing me how close is those dots to a theoretical straight line. And this one showing me if I'm trying to predict, okay, the GDP based on those parameters, okay, how close it will be to the real one. Let me try to get this motivation. I know I'm not very clear, but bear with me. It will be very clear in a minute. Okay, at least you get the idea. I'm going to put 1,000 epochs. 1,000 epochs, it means try to learn the relationship between those parameters, find those parameters, so that a straight line will be as close as possible to those 4-dimension lines. It's really complex to people that are not coming from the mathematics background. Let me run it first, and then it will be a little clearer. Take a minute to run, and then you get the idea. And then we dive into it. Okay, I will spend today and next time just on this multilinear, even if we need one more, we'll get it. Let me explain what we see here. In this example here, okay, Okay, I try to estimate the straight line. So every time for every epoch, you know, after several epochs, it will estimate this A and B. And the closeness will be, let's say, this much. But if I go into more training it, this line becomes to be closer, it's very, very close. Here, I'm trying to do similar things, but here I will use another concept. I will explain another concept that we learned today, but ignore those two lines. Assume that there's only the blue one, okay? Assume there's only the blue one, and I will explain the two of them, okay? I will explain why there are two here. But as I trained it, is that those dots getting close to a line in a 4-dimension. It's a little confusing, but this is really what you do in multiple dimension. And then after I estimate it, I'm trying to predict, you know, if the real one was the GDP is this one, what the model will tell me about the real one. And this line should be a straight line 45%, but it doesn't, okay? And you will never get it perfect, but as closest to a line of 45%, then you know this model is a good one. Now, this is really an intro to the multi-variable. I just want to make sure that this one is clear. And that's regression, we're trying to estimate the A and the B for a straight line. This model is checking A and B such that the straight line will be as close as possible to those dots. And how do we know? As we train the model, that line will get closer and closer, and that's what this line do, okay? When we move to a multiple linear regression, we don't have only the X, we'll have several of them. That's why we cannot make a picture of it, because we cannot really paint 4 variables in a page, like in a screen. You can do maybe 3-dimension, you know, you have 2 variables and explaining the third one, but you cannot really make 4. That's why in a multi-variable regression, you cannot really make this kind of picture to put those dots. I can give it to you as an exercise, and if you want, I can make a special session. We'll take only 2 variables and make a line. That could be a nice one for you to understand. But basically, when you do a multiple, you have several variables trying to explain another variable. Here is a real example from economics. In the US, I want to see the GDP of the US. Is it linked to the education, to the export of the country, how much natural resources they have, the high-tech, what the link between them? And that's neural network. And also in statistics, people spend a lot of time in statistics to learn how to do it. Statistics will give you, you have to assume many assumptions. The beauty about neural network, you don't have to assume anything. Now, I'm going to jump a little bit. Okay, I will jump to the code itself, and I will do it several times. And I hope you get all those concepts. And this one, I will spend stage number 1 to understand the data. Understand the problem you're trying to solve. And then we go step by step and how you use AI to get it elegant, and also will give you an opportunity to start to see how you build up an object in Python to organize AI objects. So all your studies in the AI will be much easier to make. I will really jump now. We'll jump to this one, for example. This is a very advanced topic, okay? This is a very advanced topic. And this one, the underlying structure, this is in finance, okay? It's a real project in finance, okay? And the object I'm using has a very similar structure to the one here. So today, we will also start building up the object in Python for managing AI project. And I will explain the idea of having several variables explaining the 5th one, okay? We'll get to that one. Now, just another glimpse into this picture on the right side. What does it really mean, okay? First of all, this on the left side, it tells you how many variables you have to explain the output. The output for us is GDP. Here I use 4 variables: export, education, natural resources, high-tech. Those are 4 variables trying to explain the GDP. So the output is the GDP, and the input are 4 variables of those economics indicator. Okay, I'm going to use those 4 indicators. Each one of them, I will multiply by parameters, and those are the parameters we're trying to estimate. So when you see this line is really going this way, it means every variable going to be multiplied by parameters. And after you multiply it, you add them all together. What do you get? You get one number in here. So here you're really getting one number. But could have been your output. That's what you do in regression. But in AI, we have much more sophisticated. We take that number, and it depends on the question we're trying to solve. We convert it by taking that number and entering into a special function we call activation function. I will talk about it many times until it will be clear. For first time you're hearing it, it's very confusing. Believe me, everything I'm saying, I went through it myself, okay? So don't panic if something I'm saying it's confusing. Honest to God, many things I'm saying, I spent so many hours until I actually understood them very well. Now, this function is a very special function. We talk about several kinds of function. The simplest function, it seems like trivial. It is trivial. It's a straight line of 45 degrees. It doesn't do anything. If I have a number and I give you the same number that you give me, you did nothing. That's a straight line, you know, x equal to y equal to x. It's a function, but it's a trivial function doing nothing. But there is something called a segment function, ReLU function. We will learn a lot of them, and they do a lot of beautiful things in the future. For now, we just do nothing. We really ignore this function altogether for this regression. That's really what the regression does. So we're going to take every variable, multiply by a fixed number, okay, a parameter. We're adding all of them up like in this equation. And then to all of those, we're adding some fixed number. This is what called the constant. And then that's really will be our GDP. That's what we're trying to estimate. So now I'm going to stop this one and dive into the data itself. You know, to be a good AI person, you really have to be a good Python person. You have to be really a good data analyst, organizing data. It's really a very important. How you organize the data, it's also extremely important. I won't get into the database, which I strongly recommend for you to do. But today, let's start looking first glance on how you start organizing an object of AI object. And here I give you an example. First of all, in Python, I don't know how many of you really know Python, and I hope you all do know, strongly recommend. This is a basic, okay, this is a basic object of AI, okay, that I will start developing as we progress. Eventually, you will see if we go to a more sophisticated one that I just, this one probably will be one of the most sophisticated one. No, I will skip that one. This is too sophisticated. Let me maybe give you the CNN. That's the simple. Hold a second. Bear with me a second. Where did I put that one? This one. Okay. I will show you this one. You will really get closer to this one. You will get closer to how an object and how you organize all your study. This one, as you can tell, it's also inherent from this object, which is the basic one that we will learn in the future. Okay. And then we add some function. You will see that all of them eventually will look very similar. You will have blocks of function, similar function, get data you will see in all of them. preparing data, normalizing the data, creating a model. This is an AI. Here we're using an algorithm of RNN. Okay, you will see you can have several of them. Okay, plotting the data. Okay, showing the conversion of the algorithm. Test and training, you will see almost in all of them. Training always will have a train function. Okay, I will get to that. But we're not going to jump in one day because you'll be overwhelmed. You're already probably overwhelmed. Okay, so we'll go step by step. This is the first AI object that we start diving into. And I want to introduce to you those two objects. Those one, it's really two objects that we developed in Academy City. They are for any web application you develop. We always have the same structure. We have one object for management of that application, and we have another object that have all the data processing, building algorithms, all of that, and that's a very similar to all our web application. This could be any web application. Doesn't have to be only AI. So when we do an AI project, we always have at least 3 objects. Usually 3 is enough. Very rarely you'll have more than that, okay? Maybe some assistant one. But this is the AI object, and this is the 2 objects to manage the manipulation of the website, the data of the website. Let me just introduce one more. Look at this this application. This is itself. It's a, machine learning. It's an object. This is an application. We're utilizing the same structure to make this website. Very interesting, okay? And that one can have, for every page inside, we're managing the same structure. So every page, let's say this is a different page. This is a different page. Each one of them, we're managing the same way. And it will be clearer and clearer as we go along, okay? For now, we're gonna focus on this regression. And this regression, this web page, we're managing utilizing those 2 objects. And then the content of the AI, we're managing in this one. So let's focus now only on this one and only one part of it, which is the data. You notice there is a segment of data. This part of the objects dealing with pulling data from the internet, we would like you to utilize. By the way, if you're really serious and you really want to make advance, pay attention, and I intentionally put only 3 here. You can make more countries. You can put Uganda, okay? This is extension. I would really recommend it. You guys will do it with Opio and SEO. And strong, if you really want to extend your knowledge in web development and research and doing the sophisticated stuff, very easy, you can extend this one. Let me just give you a hint, a little bit, okay? Let's look at the place. You can do it even, US. Let me Great Britain, maybe I'll find Great Britain. Here we go. You can see that I kind of put those 3 as the structure, but I think I probably have, okay? And by the way, if I hope you know that stuff. Okay, you can add more countries here. Okay, I don't know what the index of Uganda. I would add Uganda. Okay, we can add Uganda if you want. Let's say what is the ticker World Bank Uganda. Okay, what is the World Bank Uganda? I don't really know what it is. Do you guys know? Essa, do you know what the ticker for Uganda? Anyone? Uganda, World Bank. World Bank data for Uganda. Okay? Uganda, World Bank. There should be the ticker of that country. Can you see it here? And I should have prepared it beforehand. UGA, I think. It's probably UGA. There we go. UGA, okay? I think it's UGA, okay. You want to get to the point you really expert on it. Let me add it. I'm adding it's really online. Now we have Uganda as well. Okay, see the beauty of it. When you build it up in the right way, Uganda will be one of the other countries. Okay, here we go. I didn't even try it, honestly. Let's try it, let's see if it works. You need more epochs, okay? The data is being pulled. Okay, yeah, it does. Okay, it does work for Uganda as well. You can add more countries. See how it is. You cannot really use that one. You don't have that because this is only programmers of Academy City, like SEO and Opio can do it. You cannot add another country yourself, but you can play with it if you want. You can play with it, okay? And but I would really strongly recommend you start hooking up with Opio and SEO. They are extremely good. I know them for at least 4 years now, and I know how capable they are. So this is a beautiful website that you can, but what is the data? Okay, since from the server, I cannot show you the code, I'm gonna go now to, I'm gonna use my computer so I can show you the data itself. Now, my computer, I don't really spend the time. Okay, let's look at you. Let me add Uganda here. Did I add Uganda here? No, I didn't even do it here. I just left. Yeah, no, here we go. Maybe I did. Yeah, I think I did. Here we go. Let me add Uganda here as well. This is my computer now I'm using. Okay, let's go into the regression. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to train the model. Let's use the US first. Let's train the model, yes, and get the data. Now, I'm going to show you the actual data right here is training now the model. But yeah, okay. Let's go and see the whole process. Okay, this is a very important session today. We're starting with data, which is the first things. And let's start step by step. This is, as I said, this is the managing the whole website. So when I'm clicking this button, run train, this is really activating this Python train website, World Bank. It's going to pull the activating this function. This is the first function is activating. What this function does, okay, is first of all, is building up this object. I call it WBA, World Bank Analysis, okay? I'm creating this object. This object is basically these AI objects I mentioned, okay? This is going to manage the whole analysis, this object. And when I want to do something in AI, I'm going to activate one of those functions. So what I'm going to do here, from this object that is managing my website, okay, I'm going to create, first of all, this object. After I create this object, and by the way, let's do it step by step so you can really, it's very important you understand the process. Eventually, you want to do it yourself, okay? This one, I'm creating this object. When you create this object, you notice that I'm transferring a dictionary to it. By the way, this dictionary I'm getting from here. What does it mean? I'm transferring from this web page a dictionary to the Python. And how does it do it? You can ask Opio, he knows how it works. Through this process that we do here. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just mentioning. When I click this trend World Bank, I'm creating a dictionary here, which is working. We have done the whole work for you. It's moving and getting up to the Python. When you look at the Python here, okay, look at this one first. I'm going to stop it. I'm going to block it so you can really see. By doing return, I will get an error. But really not really an error. It's just, you know what? So you don't get an error. Yeah, it will give you an error anyway. Let's put a return. It will stop. I just wanted to show you when this function, when I click on this button, okay, is going to get up to the Python and activating this function. I'm just going to show you which kind of parameters is transferring to it. Okay, so let's start. Okay, I'm clicking, I'm doing yes, bingo, and why it didn't like me? Yeah, here we go. Beautiful. What am I transferring? Pay attention. This is the dictionary I'm transferring to Python. I hope you can see it. Okay. I'm transferring several things, the country, epochs, I'm telling him 50 epochs, meaning run the model 50 times, but we'll get to that. The most important thing is I'm telling him, do the analysis for country USA. I'm going to change it. I'm going to use Uganda now. I'm going to put Uganda, and you will see now what we get. I click on it, yes, and I should get the same things, but this time it will say Uganda. You pay attention now, it says Uganda here. Everybody see it? All the way through the internet, gets to the Python application and actually telling him, I want the analysis for Uganda. That's what we are here in the code. Now let's move on in the code. What do I want to do for Uganda? Okay, let me remove that so you can continue. Stage number 2, I want him to, first of all, you know, I'm taking the country, would say take this country, would take just Uganda. And then I'm transferring it to this object. So I'm only creating the object. So let's look at it. And I'm going to put the return here, so we stop here now. Okay, let's see what does it do. I will click Control B, it will take me to there, and it's going to do this code in a function called init. If you know Python, when you're creating an object, it will activate this function called init. Okay, very important to know it's in Python. What is it going to do? Okay, it's going to put variable called data directory, blah, 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 the model name. Okay, we'll get to those. Okay, it doesn't really need them now. Okay, but we'll get in the future. Then he's making something called scalar. I'll get to that as well. I will skip. You see, I'm skipping so much. I'm going to focus on this. You know, he's building up the get model. Okay, why is the get data? I didn't see. It should have get data here. Isn't it? Yeah, here we go. Why is it? I call it a different name. I really shouldn't call it get. Here I put it here because it's economics, but really is this one should be renamed to get data. Let me rename it. Okay, this was really, you know what? Let me leave it because it's your first time. Yeah, I know why I didn't rename it. Usually I call them get data in all of them, but here I just wanted you to see how we put in the data. So let's see the fetch data. What do I call it? Yeah, I do have a function here in get data. Yeah, my mistake. Okay, we have a function called get data. Let's see what is being called. Okay, it will happen to you a lot in your life when you start doing those kind of things. Okay, good. So who is calling it? So who's calling it? From the trend. I'm building it up. Hold that. Maybe this one does it. Maybe this one is calling it. You will see I already have changed a lot of it for the future. In a second, where this function get data called? No, I should really hold a second. Bear with me. Yeah, that's it. Was calling this fetch function. You know what? I will get to that automatically. Okay, bear with me. I apologize. Okay, let's just focus on this one. Let's see when we get. Let me do here a print. I'll call it an end, so we know end object creation. Sorry about it. You will see that one when we run it. So when I call this line, this is the important things. When I call this line, okay, that should be what will print end. Okay, that's really what I'm going to focus. It will come up automatically. Oopsie. Sorry about it. Okay, let's run it again. Bingo. Okay, you can see this is the last one. We're getting here Uganda. It's basically not showing me, okay? And we're getting this one. So what do we really see? And let's make some stop in the middle. Let's make some stop in the middle so you can see we'll make some stop in the middle. Here we're getting this element that we're getting from there. We're getting here the check point file. We'll talk about it in a minute. We're getting the scalars. We're getting the model, okay? Let's say I will just put another things, and I will put here creating options creation, and just remember those steps will repeat itself as we go along. Model was created, okay? We'll get like a step in the middle. Then we get, by the way, the training data and test data, I will talk about that as well, okay? And you will see, for now, it's none. History, it's none. We'll go and do it, okay? And then I'm gonna put, and this is it. I just wanted to see how that works. You will see that we have this stage in the middle. Control C, we run it again, and we'll see another stage in the middle. Bingo, Y, and we get it. Okay, you can see object creation, model was created. That's exactly what I added right here. This is right after the function get model. We will do it next week, this function, but I want to get into the get data. Okay, and then we got to the end of creation this model. So when we're creating a model in Python, the only things being called is the init function. That's the takeaway from this, what we just did now. Okay, let's move on. After we created this object, okay, what do we do next? We define another dictionary, okay? We put in the countries. I can get data from several countries, by the way, but I'm gonna do only one. And I'm calling, okay, I know why I got, I'm gonna change it here. I will call it the underscore. To this dictionary. Okay, it would be easier to find, okay? You know, it would be easier to find than, I tried to save space, I don't know why. In any case, I have information that I'm going to gather together and transferring it to the function train of these objects. One more time, we created the object, we're getting dictionary with some information, and we're transferring it to the function train of these objects we just created. And in other words, I'm going to call the train function of this object and transfer to it all this information. By the way, you can see here, I'm going to ask him get for me all these data for that specific country that's going to be here. By the way, what is this one? This one we just got from here. Remember, we got the country. Where did I put it? Yeah, we have countries already. Here we go. We take it from whatever we transfer to this one. So whatever we transfer from here we transfer in Uganda. He's going to put Uganda as the country to put up. Then we say, who is the dependent and independent variable? Dependent means which variable we want to learn, to study. And who are the other variables? Those are the other variables. So we have here 5 variables. The first one is the one that we really want to study about. And the other one is the one that we want to see the link to that variable. In another word, eventually, when you look at this equation, this JDP is the variable, the dependent variable. And these ones are the independent. That's another concept that you need to learn in statistics and research. Those are 4 of them going to explain the JDP. So I'm going to pull up all those 5. I'm telling him, pull data, all those 5 indicators. Okay? And then I want you to organize them somehow, that all those 4, the 4 independent separately and the dependent variable separately. That's why I'm transferring him this kind of dictionary. I created it. Okay, I created it because when I built this trend function, I took it into account. So let's look now in this function called train of this object. Okay, here we go. This is the function. Let's look at that. You know, I'm getting these elements. I know the countries, the indicator, all of those, how many epochs. By the way, the epochs, I don't think it will be important right now. It will in the future. But stage number 1, and that's what I try to get to, and that's what I want to focus today, it's this function called get data. Okay? This get data, okay, I want to show what does it do. This data, going to pull the data for the country I transferred, going to get all the indicators, all those 5 variables, and then it's going to organize one separately for the dependent, the JDP, and the 4 separately. That's why we have this structure of that function in this case. You will see in the future, we'll learn more sophisticated way to do it. Okay, for now, it's perfect. So I really want to spend the rest of the few minutes that we have to talk about this function, get data. Let's look at this get data. Oh, here you can tell I made a special function to fetch data from the World Bank. And what this World Bank needs, what does it take? Okay, so we have a special function. This is really usually in another study, you don't have to have this data. Maybe you pull data from the OECD. Maybe you pull data from other places. But here I'm pulling data from the World Bank. So I would like a special function pulling data from the World Bank. So we're going to focus on this one now and see how easy and so beautiful and simple it is. Why? Because, believe it or not, the World Bank have made a special library in Python. Now you know why you want to study Python. This library called WB Data. This special library, it's a special one that knows how to pull data from the World Bank. So see how much work they have done for us. And many institutions today do have those special libraries. You know, if I give you an exercise from the OECD, I would strongly recommend you, first of all, learn about if there's a library already done, and then learn about that library and put the data from them. And in a minute, I want to show you how you can use ChatGPT to pull data from the World Bank. You'll see how beautiful to use ChatGPT. Okay, we'll spend some time on that in a minute. But this function now, going to utilize this World Bank data object. I didn't write this function. It's given. I found it on the internet. And it has also a function called get data frame. This is something that the World Bank has done. Okay, and what does it require? Is only required which variables you want to get. Those are the indicator, the 5 that I built. And that's why I built them the way I did, because I know the World Bank is expecting it to be that way. And then I'm telling you which countries. Here I'm going to use only one country. By the way, the frequency, it's asking you which kind of data do you want? Do you want a yearly data? It's a Y. You want monthly data? You put an M. Do you want quarterly data? You put a Q. But you just learn a little bit about the World Bank data, and then you can pull. And here is the first step. I'm going to stop here and show you how this data look like coming back from the World Bank. So I'm going to do print. And I'm putting the data frame. By the way, it's returning a data frame, which is really nice. Data frame is a Panda object, which is like handling tables. And you really need this to know this data frame very well if you want to be an AI person. Okay? So this is a very powerful table. So let's look at it. Okay? Let's click and run the code again. And now I'm going to pull data for Uganda. Click here, do yes, bingo, and here we go. Why did, here we go. Why did you run I didn't put the train. What I did. Okay. Here we go. This is the data of Uganda. Okay, and you see, I asked him all those 5. He gave me those 5 variables. You make it like a table. It looks like a table. You give me the date. You give me all the years that he has. He had data from 1960 up to 2023. Okay. And all of that was so easy to get it. Some data are missing, as you can tell, for the resources per capita. The old data usually are missing many times. Many of those data are missing in the old data, but the new one, usually you have all of them, okay? So for this resources per capita for Uganda is missing for 2023. So I'm going to clean all those rows that we don't have data. This is the stage. Stage number 1 was pulling the data. We pulled the data from the World Bank. Stage number 2, I will start cleaning it, okay? So I'm going to tell him, don't give me all the data, because I know a lot of these data are not going to have data and they are not reliable. So I'm going to tell him, give me only data from 1980, and don't give me after, and then end up to today, kind of, okay? So this one is going to sort the data, okay? I'm going to print it again, second time, but this time after I'm filtering, okay, I'm starting to process the data, as you can tell. Okay, I'm start cleaning, organizing it, okay? And you will see, then this one is going to remove that column called date to make it as a column. Now it's as an index, okay? And then I'm going to tell him, you know, if still I have missing data, fill it up. And there's many methods you can fill up missing data. And then if still you have some data, I just wanted to remove that one, okay? Okay, so this one eventually, you know what, I will take it out. So I'm doing all this data cleaning. Eventually, I'm ending up in this point, which my data is ready for analysis. Okay, let's look at this one relative to what we did before. But I want to stop it. I don't want to run the whole things. I thought I did. Yeah, okay. I didn't stop it. Let's leave it. It's okay. Okay, it's run very fast. Okay, let's see the data again. We'll see the original, and then we'll see how we cleaned it up. Extremely important. Not really yet finished the processing. It's the first stage. Look at the data, the original one. This is the original one that we put from the World Bank. Okay? Then we start cleaning up data. You notice the 2023 disappeared because it has no data. So I didn't want to keep it. So I gave him this command here, if you notice. And where is it? Where is it? I just had it a second ago. I'll find it. Here we go. This line basically will drop the first row because it's removing everything that has missing data. So this one will be disappearing, okay? This one didn't disappear because when I filled up, you know, when I did this one, it filled them all up. You know, I didn't want to remove all of them because otherwise I would get with nothing. Okay, we'll have a lot of missing. But if you already remove this line, or just do that one, you will see many of those rows will disappear. Okay, you see here we have 1960 going, all of that. They are all filled with zero. That's what it did. So those one will be removed. Now, this topic of organizing data is a very important topic. I won't spend too much today. Maybe in the future I will spend more time on that one, but this is a whole topic in AI, data preparation, data organizing, extremely important, okay? By the way, here we go. You will see that those rows will disappear. You see, we have only data from 1982 now. We lost all the one from 1960. Why? Because I didn't fill up missing data. So this really depends. You can change those. I decided not to do that. For now, just keep it, okay? For Uganda, it might be very important, by the way, you can tell. All those data really should have been removed. So maybe I should remove them, okay? Maybe I should remove them. Don't fill up any data. I do that way. Maybe that's better even, okay? But this is a concept you have to struggle in when you do the analysis and learn how to do that, okay? So this is the whole topic, data processing, okay? So what do we have? Stage number one, data pooling. We pull the data from the World Bank. Stage number two, data processing. We start cleaning that up. We have not prepared the data for AI yet. We didn't do normalization. We'll do next time, okay? That's another topic. After I have the data, I process stage number one, clean the data. You know, and if you study business intelligence or data warehousing, there's a concept called cleaning and scrubbing. This is called cleaning and scrubbing, cleaning the data, filling up some data. And then next time is normalization. Normalization is a huge topic. Here we're using a simple one, okay? And we'll talk about it next time, okay? It's normalizing the data. Remember, we haven't touched the AI yet. Just preparing data. Normalization is one that you will do always for any study, even if it's not AI. After the normalization, it's data preparation for AI and depending on the algorithm, okay? You will see, we'll talk about it. Here, we don't really have much because we're really just we're using the AI, the neural network to mimic the regression. But when we talk about CNN, RNN, RLL, all of those ones will have data preparation, very important. And we will have to really understand how to organize the data to fit the model. For now, that will be enough for today, okay? So I hope this really was data pooling, data cleaning and cleansing, okay? And next stage will be normalization. And after we do the normalization, we talk about the algorithm itself. We'll put the model and we'll learn about the model and then we train the model and then we see the parameters, okay? That will be next time. Anybody, questions, guys? Questions?